Welcome to Morbid Outdoors, the podcast that ventures deep into the shadows of the wild. Here, we unravel the mysteries of missing persons, explore spine chilling legends, and share the most morbid stories that nature has to offer. From the depths of the dense forests to the highest mountain peaks, we'll uncover the secrets that lie hidden in the great outdoors. Join us as we navigate the eerie, the unexplained, and the terrifying. So if you dare, grab your gear and let's embark on a journey into the unknown. This is Morbid Outdoors. Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. My name is Elise, and I'm your host. And I'm also still on my road trip with my mom. I hope you guys enjoyed the incident reports from Glen Canyon National Recreation Area and Horseshoe Bend. Lots of crazy things happen outside. I love talking about them, which is why I do this show. I just find it so fascinating. So, our first 2 days of the road trip were spent in Page. We did Horseshoe Bend. We got some pie at Thunderbird Cafe. We did Antelope Canyon Tour, which I've done before. And now we are driving to New Mexico. Now, for those of you who don't know, I actually worked at Philmont Scout Ranch in the summer when I was in college. That is where my love for New Mexico started. It's a beautiful, super underrated state. I love going back. I try to go back once a year. Oh my God, New Mexico is seriously the best ever. And we'll be spending the remainder of our time in New Mexico. I love it. I also worked my first contract job as a travel speech language pathologist, similar to travel nursing. I worked that in New Mexico. So I lived there for a little over a year. I loved it. It's amazing. We are talking about Ghost Ranch today. And Ghost Ranch is one of the first places I visited once I moved to New Mexico by myself. Now, if you've been, you know just how beautiful it is. It's known for its beauty, and it's also known for some really strange stories that come out of it. So let me take you to Ghost Ranch in Abiquiu, New Mexico. Abiquiu, New Mexico is a census designated place in Rio Arriba County in northern New Mexico. It's about 53 miles or 85 kilometers north of Santa Fe, and in 2010, the population was 231. Abiquiu means choke cherry point in the Tiwa language. It's also called Santo Tomas de Abiquiu and the Pueblo of Santo Tomas de Abiquiu. In the mid 18th century, the Spanish crown provided land grants here and in other places to establish buffer towns to defend the frontier from raiding tribes such as the Comanche. I don't know how I feel about the raiding tribes, but this was their homeland. So, Abiquiu was one of the homes of the American artist Georgia O'Keeffe from 1929 until 1984. The Georgia O'Keeffe home and studio is in Abiquiu. It's a very popular tourist spot. It's beautiful. I've never been because I'm too cheap to pay the money to go tour it, but you can go drive by and it is so pretty just from the outside. The artist also owned property at the nearby Ghost Ranch. So Georgia O'Keeffe, famous for painting a ton of her stuff at Plaza Blanca nearby, at Ghost Ranch, and just scenes around Abiquiu. So a lot of her famous paintings are of Abiquiu, and it's just so magical there. There's a different like feeling of energy in and around Abiquiu, and especially on Ghost Ranch. Now, because I'm a film freak and this isn't your normal episode, this is just a little fun bonus road trip one. I want to talk about all of the movies that have been filmed near Abiquiu because it is iconic. The colorful canyons and mountains near Abiquiu have been featured in numerous movies, including the 1984 version of Red Dawn, Silverado, Lonesome Dove, City Slickers, The Last Outlaw, the 1994 Wyatt Earp, The Wild Wild West, All the Pretty Horses in 2000, The Missing in 2003, and we're actually visiting the Valles Caldera National Preserve, which was also filmed, which The Missing was also filmed in. 310 to Yuma, No Country for Old Men, Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, Cowboys and Aliens, the 2013 The Lone Ranger, and the TV series Earth 2. Abiquiu is the title of an episode of Breaking Bad. During the episode, a flashback shows Jesse Pinkman and Jane visiting a Georgia O'Keeffe exhibition, presumably the one in Abiquiu. So, specifically in and around Abiquiu, we're going to be talking about Ghost Ranch. It's 21,000 acres and it's a retreat and education center in New Mexico, and it is stunning. It's about 65 miles northwest of Santa Fe and 14 miles from Abiquiu, which is the nearest community in this area. In the later 20th century, it was the summer home and studio of artist Georgia O'Keeffe, as well as the subject of many of her paintings. It often serves as a location for movie production, like I mentioned. Ghost Ranch is owned by the Presbyterian Church and leased to and managed by the National Ghost Ranch Foundation, Incorporated. Ghost Ranch is known for a remarkable concentration of fossils, most notably that of the theropod dinosaur Coelophysis. I don't know how to say all these things, of which it has been estimated that a nearly 1,000 individuals have been preserved in a quarry at Ghost Ranch. So really cool dinosaur fossils are here, and this ranch has a reputation for being haunted. Historically, it's been known as El Rancho de los Brujos, which means the ranch of the witches, due to its legends of spirits, dark magic, and violent history. Today, like I said, it's a renowned educational and retreat center, but there are still tales that linger around paranormal activity, shadowy figures, and strange sounds. So you might be thinking like, "Well, how's it haunted?" Well, yes, it does have the name Ghost Ranch, and it is also said to be haunted by the spirits of the nomadic indigenous peoples that roamed and lived here for thousands of years. Now, the canyon was inhabited by the Archuleta brothers in the 1880s. They were cattle rustlers who enjoyed the coverage and invisibility that the canyon provided, as well as their ability to see for miles down the valley. So, this was like the perfect place for these cattle rustler outlaws to live because it provided them protection, but also let them see if anyone were coming towards their camp. So these two brothers, they created like two makeshift homes and they would move stolen cattle throughout the night to Box Canyon. By transporting the cattle through the streams, there was no footprints and they could not be tracked. So this was literally the perfect place for them. Stories of people saying that the Archuleta brothers who had gone missing, they circulated around the area. So everybody knew of these cattle rustlers and you didn't want to mess with these guys. And apparently they went missing. But one day, one of the brothers made a transaction without the other, and he had actually claimed that he had buried gold for safety. So there's like some double crossing. The second brother killed him and kept his wife and daughter hostage until they admitted to knowing where the gold was hidden. Although the mother and daughter feared the rumored spirits of the canyon, they mustered up the courage to sneak away at night through the Chama Valley. The mother and daughter informed the locals about the remaining brother. A group of local men then came to the ranch, fighting through their fear, and hanged the remaining brother and his gang from a cottonwood tree that still stands next to one of the casitas on the property. So we're talking Wild West, we're talking backdoor deals, like double crossing two brothers. One brother double crossed the other, he killed him. It is, I mean, this like story is, I would love to get like more details. There's not a lot of details on it, but, like, how cool is that? The cottonwood tree that they hung from is still there. And let me tell you, the cottonwood trees in this area now are, like, huge, and they're so, so pretty. So, other visitors stayed in the casita later. They have actually claimed that they could hear the voices of a man and a woman fighting. A descendant of the Archuletas obtained a deed for the property in 1918, and then he later sold the ranch in 1921 to an area merchant who sold it in 1928 to a sheep rancher. So it's gone through a few different hands. I think this story is really interesting because even when these people lived here in the 1880s, there were already things happening on the ranch or, in this area that would scare a lot of local townspeople and the wife and daughter of one of the brothers because there were stories and already things happening, hauntings, and so they actually already knew about that even before that they were living there. And just to say that this story is not what started all of the like, "Oh, Ghost Ranch is haunted" kinda talk. Some claim to hear the cries of the brothers' murder victims if they wandered too close to the ranch. Others say that the brothers purposefully spread a rumor that their ranch was haunted in order to keep local busybodies and law enforcement away. Now, allegedly, the Archuleta brothers, they hung dummies from the trees in order to send a warning to anyone who approached. So because of that, apparently, that's where the ranch got the name Ranch of the Witches by the local community. I just don't know, like all of this information is just passed down word of mouth. I find it interesting, and this was actually pretty smart tactic from the brothers to make it be like, "Oh, this area is it's so scary and there's witches here," so that they could commit their crimes of stealing cattle and, stuff like that, with this cover of you don't wanna go there because it's bad, and so that kind of helped them out with their criminal activities. The daughter of one of the Archuleta brothers came forward years later, and she confessed that she had seen a 6-foot tall humanoid creature covered in red hair that would crawl out of the sand and scream like tortured children. She dubbed these terrifying monsters Earth Babies, and her father had sworn he encountered a winged cow on numerous occasions that was actually a witch in disguise. So there's some weird shit that goes down in this area. It seemed that despite the brothers starting rumors of hauntings, there was some suspicion within the family that the ranch really was haunted. Like, yes, they're telling townspeople this, but they also had very, very strange encounters with unexplainable things on this ranch. Most famously, the ghost of a 30-foot long rattlesnake demon known as Vivaron was said to haunt the area around Huarfano Mesa, a sacred Navajo mountain. Vivaron would hide during the day in the tunnels under the mountain and emerge at sunset to commence its nightly hunt. And according to some versions of the story, Vivaron's favorite food was children. Another one of these stories that the indigenous peoples told to keep their children acting right and inside. So, this is actually really cool. In 2016, a new species of reptile was identified at Ghost Ranch. This reptile has been named Viveron after the snake demon and was identified as a new species, which is like a distant relative of the modern day crocodile, which is really cool to me. Viverons were between 12 to 18 feet long and lived in the area of Ghost Ranch around 212 million years ago. These were some of the largest and most dangerous carnivores in Pangaea during the 16 million year long Triassic period. So it's suiting that this new reptile was named after the baby eating viveron. And honestly, that's terrifying. So I just thought this was fun to do a little episode on. If you've never visited New Mexico, I highly suggest that you go. It's huge. There's a lot to see, and Abiquiu and Ghost Ranch area is some of the prettiest. It's just got a different feeling and energy around it. When I went to Ghost Ranch, I just got like a really weird feeling, like a bad feeling. I took my dog, Gus, went to hike there. We did a very short hike. It's beautiful, but I just got this overwhelming sense of like dread. And that's something that doesn't happen to me very often. And so we didn't hang around the area. We actually left. We didn't do all of what I wanted to do because of that really weird feeling that I got, but it was beautiful. Um, I think Ghost Ranch is really cool. There's a lot of history. It's fun to talk about, like, like ghost stories and Wild West, and I'm interested in that stuff. So you might not be, but I think it's cool. And I also really like that whenever they discovered the new species of reptile, they named it after the Navajo, this crazy ghost 30-foot rattlesnake demon. And it's terrifying, honestly, terrifying. So my mom and I are exploring this area, gonna go see Plaza Blanca, and then we're heading to stay between Albuquerque and Santa Fe. on the Santa Ana Pueblo. And so I'm super excited to show her that area and take her to the Bosque. And just New Mexico is great. Great food, great people, great views. It is beautiful. If there's one thing that stories about Ghost Ranch remind us, it's that some places seem to hold onto their past a little more tightly than others. Tucked into the rugged landscape of Ghost Ranch, the land carries layers of histories. Indigenous presence, Spanish settlement, outlaws, artists, and all of the lives that passed through long before it became the quiet retreat it is today. Whether you believe in the paranormal or not, the stories of unexplained footsteps, shadowy figures, and lingering presences speak to something deeper than just fear. They reflect how isolation, vast wilderness, and history can shape the way we experience a place. Out there, where the desert stretches endlessly and silence feels almost alive, it's easy to understand how the line between reality and imagination can blur. And maybe that's the real mystery of Ghost Ranch. Not just whether it's haunted, but why certain places make us feel like we're not entirely alone. So if you ever find yourself in New Mexico wandering those red rock trails or watching the sun dip below the cliffs, take a moment to listen. Because sometimes the stories we tell about a place aren't just stories, they're more like echoes. As always, recreate responsibly and remember, sometimes the great outdoors aren't always great. Thanks for listening to Morbid Outdoors. If you're enjoying what you're hearing, make sure to subscribe to the show on your favorite podcast platform. It's free, easy, and it helps us out immensely. When you subscribe, you get updates on our latest episodes, and it also boosts our visibility, making it easier for other curious souls to find us. Another great way to support Morbid Outdoors is by leaving us a review. Whether you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen, a quick review helps us know what you love about the show. You can also join us on Patreon for early and ad-free content. Find us on Instagram and Facebook at Morbid Outdoors Podcast. You can email us case suggestions and your campfire stories at morbidoutdoorspodcast@gmail.com. Thanks so much for the support, and I'll see you next time.